Now, be selfish for the next 2 years. I beg you, just be selfish for the next 2 years. Build yourself, come back, be in a position now to help. You know what we do? We switch on into doing things that are not necessarily meaning good for our lives. And by the way, I know there are some people who just read the title and they comment without even listening to what I'm about to say. I know some of you be like, but the Bible says that you should be selfless. Again, I'm not violating that. Listen to this video to the end. Might be that video only for 15 minutes and change your life completely. Let's get on the business. And by the way, don't forget, go ahead and hit that like button. Why should you? By the way, I tell people, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you don't, still like the video, right? And again, don't forget to subscribe so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a new good video. Let's get on the business. See now, when I talk about you, be selfish for the next 2 years only, just 2 years. Okay, this period of time is enough to actually build you completely to the levels whereby it will be very much astonishing to your life. When was the last time you gave yourself the priority? When I say be selfish on this regard, I mean prioritize yourself. Okay, prioritize yourself. All right. Now, what happens when you prioritize yourself? It means much of the things that you actually do, you actually prioritize yourself. What do I mean by that? See, be selfish with your time. Okay, what do I mean? There are people who you're just resting in your home, probably reading a book that I told you to read, like The Psychology of Money, The Millionaire Fast Lane, those beautiful and wonderful books that can actually help you to build yourself to the next level. Now, you're relaxing in a weekend in your home, okay? And then all of a sudden, your friends calls you and tells you, hey, you know what, where are you? Hey, what are you doing in the house right now? You come on, show up. You are doing this, and what have you. Then you end up sort of dissing whatever you are doing to go be with them, and you've actually shared that particular time. When was the last time you decided, hey, you know what, this particular weekend I'm going to spend back at home, I'm going to figure out about my finances, I'm going to figure out and ask myself, it's good to sit down and take a pen and paper and ask yourself, how many people actually look upon me? How many people expecting me to help them in the future? Because this is the problem. You become selfless, all right, to a point whereby you are disorganized. Okay, you become selfish to a point whereby you are disorganized. Then you don't put your house in order. If you don't put your house in order, guess what happens now? A lot of people who depend on you, they can't, because you don't have anything. By the way, maybe you're watching this video and probably deep inside of your heart you usually admire to be helpful to people. You love to be an individual who is a philanthropist. You love to help people and what have you. But if you do not put your finances in order, if you do not know how to organize yourself, there is no way you can be a philanthropist if you cannot even put a food on your table for the sake of your kids, or even for the sake of your own self. So first of all, it starts with you being very much disciplined, standing out of the crowd. Then from there, build yourself. Be very selfish with your time. Only share your time when you know you're about to get value for that. I always tell people it's about 3 G's. Okay, it's about 3 G's. That is the God, the goal, and the growth. That is the God, the goal, and the what? And the growth. Those are the 3 things that I focus on. Today, some of the guys, okay, personally, I don't have friends. Those people whom we associate with in one way or the other, if you give me a call, I always ask myself, does it fall under God? Are we going to talk about spirituality, about God and what have you? You grow me spiritually? No, it's not about that. Is it about a goal? Are we talking about how do we move to the next level? Hey, have you seen an opportunity? Hey, what do we do this and that kind of a thing? No, it's not about that. Or is it about growth? Is it about moving me to the next level? Is there something that you've actually noticed in me in terms of a weakness and you're like, you know what, as a friend, I have to tell you the truth. This doesn't work, this work, and such kind of a thing. If it doesn't fall under these 3 things, the God, growth, and goals, then that is not my thing. That is what I always tell people. So the point is, be selfish with your time. When I say prioritize the things that grows, if you realize you have a problem with using your money, you are this kind of a guy who is an impulse buyer, ask yourself, how can I shake off this kind of weakness that I have? I have a problem of misusing my cash. Now, what exactly do I do? Do I change the people whom I hang around with? Do I change the fact that I usually have idle money in my bank account? Do I change the fact that, hey, you know what, where I usually pass by, maybe that is the weakness and what have you? You change, you actually work on yourself. And let me tell you one thing, the moment you find that you can barely spend a weekend by your home alone, doing the things that matters a lot to you, you have a problem. If you have a problem doing that, just know you have a problem. That's why we say be selfish with your time. Another thing that you should be selfish with is your income. For God's sake, be selfish with your income. And I know some people what they are thinking right now. When I say be selfish with your income, they think that I'm saying be mean, be stingy, don't give, don't help. Don't. I'm not talking about that. There are people who usually are so kind-hearted to a point whereby they're even taken for weakness. There are people who they become so much, how can I say this? They become so open, so helping to a point whereby they even forget about their lives. And that is exactly what brings some problems in people's lives. So what happens when I say be selfish with your income is when we talk about the last video, we talk about paying yourself. Is paying yourself. Is paying yourself. Why? See, paying yourself is, hey, guess what? This money has actually come in my pocket. Are we together? I take a fraction of this, probably let's talk about 20K. I channel that money towards paying myself. Why am I paying myself? Because you are the biggest asset. And if you do not pay yourself and this asset faces some problems, you ain't gonna even pay the others. So when you pay yourself, you be selfish, you prioritize you. I think saying prioritize is a bit friendly than saying being selfish. So you prioritize yourself before anyone else out there. So once you prioritize yourself, in making sure that you're paying yourself, that means that you invest your cash. That means that you're buying off a day that you do not have to work. That's basically what it means. Another thing, I've actually dealt with people who have been living outside the country. You find yourself helping a lot of people back at home, which is nothing wrong with it. I 100% support it. But now the problem that they do is that you help to a point whereby you even cannot even save, you cannot even invest, you cannot even set aside a certain amount of money. And then a time comes now to come back home, or maybe let's say the contract ends, or something happens, you get deported, or whichever the thing it is, all right? So you catch your flight back at home, you reach home, you have nothing. Guess what happens? The same people whom you are helping will be the first people to actually tell you you are so dumb that you are given that opportunity to go work outside somewhere, or you had that particular job. Doesn't mean necessarily that you have to be working outside the country anyway. But now they tell you, hey, you had that opportunity, you were making money, everything was good with you, but you failed to take care of yourself. They forget that they are the ones who are actually eating your cash. And that is the thing with people. And people usually realize this too late. So it is always good to make sure that, hey, you know what? Yes, I am helping them. Yes, they depend on me. Yes, for sure, in one way or the other, I'm supposed to help them, of which you're supposed to do that. But at the same time, just like you usually have a bill to pay electricity, just like you have a bill to pay for the water, just like you have a bill to pay for the other thing, make sure that you have a bill to pay yourself, to set aside a certain amount of money as much as you're helping the others, so that at least one day you do not be turned, or you don't you don't get turned to what you call a laughing stock and what have you. Now see, be selfish with your income. And being selfish with your income, it's also making sure that your income is ran through a system. And this system is the budget. There's a system called the budget, okay? Now, this system, your cash comes in. This is where we say this is the inflow, okay? This is the inflow of your cash. The money now comes in from your, whatever the place that you usually work. Once the money gets in, they go through the budget. The budget is actually an organized structure where some of this cash is actually directed towards the rent, some is directed towards paying the debt that you had, and also maybe some cash goes to the school fees, and some cash is actually got for the black tax that is helping your family members. Some cash is directed towards what we call, maybe say a certain purchase that you have, some into an emergency fund, and what have you. And of course, making sure that again the outflow of these, at least you operate on what we call the positive cash flow. This is something that is being left. Now that positive cash flow is what you channel towards the what? Paying yourself first. Why? Because I'm telling you, for the next 2 years, if you actually assume this structure whereby you know what comes in and what goes where, you actually have a track, or you have a track of where your cash goes by, and then you channel that. By the way, I met some guys some times back, and they were telling me, hey, you know what, Joseph, if I can get 150,000 Kenyan shilling, that's like $1,300. That's like as little as $1,300. Okay. Now they were saying, or that guy was saying, if I get that amount of money, I will start the business of my dream. I will start a business. I will start an opportunity that I've seen somewhere, and I'm pretty sure, well, true, based on what I've actually studied, that I'm gonna make some cash. And we had to go back to how much it usually make. I realized the guy is actually making 45K in a month, and this guy is struggling to raise 150K. And then I said, you know what, let's dissect on these figures, let's see what goes where. You married? The guy wasn't married, but most of his cash was actually going towards the what? The family members. Guess what? The brothers and the sisters and what have you assigned him to actually educate their kids. There is nothing wrong with that. Probably that's what an average mind will say. But you have to zoom in and ask yourself, sure, I'm helping my brother's kids to educate. But now, if I zoom in, am I actually, is my brother in the first place responsible? Sure, he needs help. I mean, anyone he needs help. But are you responsible in the first place? You find some people are not responsible. The moment they realize that the school fees for their kid is being paid by their brother, then you know what? They start drinking. The brother was actually a drunkard. He was drinking all over the place. They were not even organizing their finances. And I was like, you know what? You need to sit your brothers down and your sister down and your parents down as well, as so that at least, by the way, you know what? If you can, okay, allow me to use this time, and I know you've been avoiding it as much as you can. If you can a bit stingy, just be stingy for the next, let's say, 2 years only. Just 2 years. Just 2 years. You get the 50K if you are the guy. This guy knows that if you get this amount of money, he has the potential to generate another 30K each and every month. And this business, it is not what? Limiting him to work on this. So therefore, boom, it means within 2 months or whatever, you're gonna raise his actually income in a month to a up of 75,000. So if you can just tell your members, hey, you know what, for the next 2 years, guys, I want you, each and every one of you, to actually pull up your socks. You do the thing because there's something that I'm tied on. Then once you get the thing, please do not just run away. Turn around and be of help to others. That is exactly how you grow yourself. When we did our things, we realized raising 150, because I told the guy, if you can manage as little as only 15K per month, let's even say 10K per month, in 1 year you have 120K. Within 1 year, 3 months, you have your 150K. Let's say you're not perfect. I told him, just do 2 years only, just 2 years. You'll have yourself comfortable 150K without actually affecting nothing in your life. And that is exactly how you snatch yourself from that cocoon that you are in. Are we together? Now, when it comes to being selfish, it always falls under two main things, and that is what we call the income and your time. Now, another thing that I want to close up with on this particular video is also to be selfish and also do what in the next 2 years? Be a decent, aggressive. Decent. I use the term decent, primarily because you can be, there is a very thin line between being greedy and aggressive. Yeah, be decent, aggressive. Just be aggressive. Being aggressive does not mean necessarily, robbing others and doing other funny things out there. No, being aggressive is being an individual who is determined. Okay, you are motivated, you have the zeal, you have that push that, you know what, I have to do this, I do not have any other option, it's a do or die, I have to do it, what have you. And you know what, you tell yourself, I only have 2 years to make it or break it. If I cross these 2 years without me doing this, a lot of repercussions will actually come. Then you remain determined and be like, you know what, for the next 2 years, I'm gonna be very much aggressive. I'm gonna go ahead and sort of, what do we say? Let's say you're earning 40,000. You find a way on how you can actually negotiate for your salary and such kind of a thing as you move to the next level. So guys, as I sum up this particular video, what I will tell you is that just be selfish for the next 2 years. Put your house in order, organize your finances, have a budget, make sure that you have a structured procedure that you usually use when you're utilizing your cash. Then have yourself a particular goal within that period of time, because it doesn't make any sense being selfish for the next 2 years and you're not operating on a goal. Then have that particular goal, work towards that particular goal, and you'll thank me later once you hit that period of those 2 years, because you're gonna see tremendous result. This is Good Joseph. But in case you need my good services in one way or the other, through a call, a conversation, a physical meeting, or whichever the arrangement, go ahead and pick that number of mine from the description of this particular video. Shoot me a call. Let's talk business. Because just like an iron sharpens another iron, so do we learn from each other. See you there.